new faces here on our Zoom. Thank you to our community for joining us. And we are going to be observing our protocols, our teleconference protocols today. So I'd like to remind everyone to do their best to keep their background noise to a minimum. And just try to say, as you know, unless you're speaking, try to keep as quiet as possible so you don't inadvertently interrupt the speaker. Because sometimes when you speak or you may sound occurs, then sometimes you end up grabbing the microphone. So just a reminder. So we'll go ahead and we'll call this meeting to order at 6:35. This meeting is the regular board meeting of the Cameron Park CSD. Today's Wednesday, May 20th, and we're convening at 6:35. And let's go ahead and start with the roll call, please, Jill.
Director Scobie?
Here.
Director Aston?
Here.
Director Carlson?
Here.
Director Wooten?
Here.
And Director Morrison?
Here.
Great. Okay. Now it's kind of hard for us to actually do the pledge. So I've been asking board members to recite it for us. I did not give you a heads up, Holly, but would you like to recite the Pledge of Allegiance for us?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag. There it is. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Felicity.
Thank you, everyone. All right. Just letting you know that our public testimony will be received on each agenda item as it is called. The principal party on each side of an issue is allocated 10 minutes to speak. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes, except with the consent of the board. Individuals shall be allowed to speak on an item only once. Members of the audience are asked to volunteer their name before addressing the board, and the board reserves the right to waive said rules by a majority vote. So we will start with the adoption of the agenda. And let's see, Nikki, you're going to help me out if anyone has raised their hand during this meeting, correct?
Yes.
All right, so do we have a motion?
This is Felicity. I move to adopt the agenda.
And is there a second?
This is Ellie. I move to second the adoption of the agenda.
And we're going to do a poll vote for all of our agenda items just to make sure everything is clear. So Jill, could you go through the poll vote, please?
Yes. Director Scobie?
Aye.
Director Aston?
Aye.
Director Carlson?
Aye.
Director Wooten?
Aye.
Director Morrison?
Aye.
The adoption of the agenda has been adopted and 5-0. And moving on to our next item is recognitions and presentations. And that is going to be our very own Jed Gaines, introducing the California Climate Investment Grant status. So should we turn that over to Jed?
Yeah. Got the PowerPoint here.
Sorry, give me just a minute. It's a large file, so it keeps kind of freezing up my computer a little bit.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, I told it to share. It's just, like I said.
Didn't we just buy new computers?
They've expired.
They've expired.
Oh, mercy.
Dad.
Might be the size of those graphics.
Yeah.
I think it's a video. I think there's some video in there.
Yeah, there's some videos embedded in it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
We could, are you able to move through just like this? It won't play?
Let me try something else real quick. I apologize.
All right. There we go.
All right. I did a backdoor action. We'll see if this will work.
All right. So I wanted to give everybody just a little update on where we are with the grant and what we've done so far, and kind of what our priorities are now and into the future. So as you know, we were the recipients of the California Climate Investment Grant last year. We got a total of $300,000 with 50,000 of that 300 for prevention and education. So some of our priorities are working with the BLM to help clean up and improve the fire break, the fuel break all around the Pine Hill Preserve. So under BLM's new CEQA that they just got in place at the end of last year, before it was a 100-foot fire break, now we're up to 200-foot fire break, which is very good all the way around the whole preserve.
Wow.
So under our grant, we have helped fund some of that because BLM's providing the documents, and they have some folks that can help, but they just don't have the staffing and the crews to get it done as quickly as we'd like. So pretty much since January, February, the crews started. They had some extra grant days that they had available outside of the CCI, and we worked with them up until those days ran out, and then we entered a new contract. The district entered a new contract with Growlersburg just under the CCI grant. So they've been out there and they've been cutting, piling, and burning as they can go in a lot of areas. Right now, currently with the warmer weather and drier conditions, it puts them outside of BLM's prescription to burn piles. So they haven't been creating any new piles. They've been burning everything as they go. So, and then once they got out of prescription, we've moved these chippers. There's these big giant chippers, and we pretty much haul them on our semi-trailers. They got like bulldozer tracks, and they're driven with a remote control, so they're able to drive them out into the road or out off-road and can chip as they go. So we have 2 of those out there currently working. But so down off Meter Road, they've as you guys have seen driving through, they've got their good clearance along Meter Road, up Sudbury, and then all around Auburn Hills. So if you want to go to the next slide. So here's just some of the photos. Some of these are off of Sudbury. You can see a little of what they've done. The photo in the middle is some mastication that BLM had done earlier. You can tell by the amount of chips there. Some of the others, you can see the burn piles and everything that's left behind from when they've cut and cleared, and you can see how good it's looked. And then the upper left corner, if you look up the hill, that's how thick it all was when they started all of these projects behind all these homes. You could go ahead and move to the next slide. Again, just more photos of kind of what they've been doing. Go ahead to the next one. And then again, here's behind Sudbury. These were some of the days out there when they were still currently burning. We got some photos of the piles just smoldering. The upper right photo, those were some of the big piles that they had there that they were cutting, and that's what they were starting to deal with up there. So everything looks really good. I'm real happy with the work that's been done. Go to the next slide. This is a little drone footage we got. This is off Meter looking to the west down there. What you see there is from the old burn scar, and you can see BLM has it gridded out, and they've been, they just really monitor the rare species of plants out there after a fire. So that's what you can see from the air that's gone on out there off of Meter Road. We wanted to get more footage down off of Sudbury, but because of the airport, it will not allow the drones to fly close enough. Once they get down there, it automatically stops them and just turns the drones around. So this area, we didn't get as much as we'd like, but you can see the fuel break down along Meter Road and everything. So we're real happy with all that. Go ahead and go to the next slide. We have the 200-foot fuel break along the top side of the preserve off Loma Drive, and that's what we've been working with the track chippers. So once we started that area behind Ponte Palmero, up top off Loma, a lot of the homeowners up there have been super cooperative with us, allowed us to get through their property with these chippers and get to work onto the preserve from there. So, and they should be completing that part by the end of this week. Go to the next slide. Those are some pictures of the track chippers with the crews feeding into them. And like I said, they're driven with a remote control. So the captain of the crew has that remote for each one and can just move it along as they go, and the crews feed and chip as they go. And then the upper left photo that you're looking at is kind of a completed look after the chipper has gone through. Go ahead to the next. Getting some more of the same photos. Go ahead. And this is another drone footage here. This is down off Ponte, and you can see this is, they burned that part, so they cut that open space. You can see how thick the vegetation was, and then those are all just little ash piles left over after they've burned. And that's looking towards Cameron Park Drive down towards that Paul J. Ryan Park and everything. And then here's behind Auburn Hills. Again, they've cut that, cleared all that behind Auburn Hills. Everything's looking really good around there. Go ahead. And then one more little video behind Auburn Hills. As they cut up there, you can see they found some motorcycle tracks and stuff back there on the preserve that they didn't know were back there. But with what this is provided is a really good field break between these homes now and the preserve if we were to have any type of fire start back in there. So we're real excited about that. Okay. We purchased 2 Easy Ups with the grant. When we started this purchase, obviously the coronavirus wasn't a thing yet, and but we were going to utilize these for our outreach programs, town hall meetings, summer spectacular. We were planning on having an educational booth set up to hand out educational materials and all that. And so we got these, we purchased them all with the CCI grant. Under that, we were able to put the Cameron Park Fire Department logos on there, along with the Cameron Park website, and then the CCI info with some CAL FIRE logos that were required on there. And then on the other side of the Easy Ups, it has readyforwildfire.org website listed on there too. Go ahead. Here's our informational signs that we've got. These are 4-foot by 8-foot signs, double-sided signs that we're going to place throughout the community. We received those. We've been waiting on the frames for these signs. We just got those built. So some of the areas, since this PowerPoint was built, we've kind of working with Jill and Mike Grassley with the Parks Department. We're probably relocating some of our designs just for some better locations. We were going to put one at Gateway Park, but after reviewing all that, we feel it's going to be better moved and suited at Rasmussen Park. So we're going to do that. So these signs they're good, durable 3M coated material, and with the frames that we got made, we're going to be able to also slip in some plexiglass in front, just in case hopefully there won't ever be, but if there is any vandalism, there'll be plexiglass to protect these, and then the signs will be locked in there. And then the frames that we built, you can open them up, and we can change out these signs after a while if we want to get new ones, or if we want to rotate these messages throughout the district. So these are some of the information. So all 5 send a different kind of message for wildfire, but we got 5 of them. And so, like I said, Gateway Park will not be there. We're going to move that one to Rasmussen. And we're hoping in the next couple of weeks of having those all up and in. We've got 2 of the frames installed. We got installed this weekend. One is over at the district office, so that's in, and we're waiting for that to dry, and then we'll finish putting the rest of the frame up, and then over off of Bass Lake Road on what the district refers to as Sandpiper. You can go ahead and do the next one. And I apologize for Hacienda Park. We put that in, and it should have been Paul J. Ryan, so I apologize for that. But these are the signs for Hacienda Park. So have got dispensable space. It shows the zones. It's very detailed. Just kind of ask the question, is your home ready? And then at Cameron Park Lake, we have the person mowing or out there, and it says, don't do the right thing the wrong way. And then also has the different zones, and then under each zone has some little bullet points of what you need to do. So these signs were built to be, at parks and all that for folks to walk up and hopefully read and have a better understanding. They weren't designed to be like a roadway sign, like the Bass Lake grade one off of Highway 50 that you've seen. These are they have a little more detail and a little more educational material. So we're really hoping the community will see these and learn from them, and hopefully make our community a little more fire safe. Go ahead to the next one. And then these are the two signs, the one we're going to have at the district office, and then also the one at Bass Lake Road. And then that one's a little more of a roadside one right there, but we felt that would be appropriate. Don't be a drag, and it has a picture of somebody dragging their chain, towing their boat. We figured that gets a lot of traffic of folks heading to Folsom Lake in the summer and dragging. So we're hoping, to send some education there. And again, with the zoning that we look for. Go ahead to the next one. And then the mailers you guys all received that went out in mid-April, we sent out 7,500 mailers to all the residents within Cameron Park. And included with the mailers were a little magnet that we're hoping will stick around for a while. Somebody will put up on their fridge, and that was all, again, the zoning and clearing of for around your house. So, and on these mailers, it has the Ready, Set, Go program, which is similar to the reverse 911, the code red, and just kind of how to teach families how to come up with a plan and what they, need to have ahead of time and be ready in case we do ever need to evacuate. We can move on to the next. And this was on the back side of the mailers. Go ahead. And then finally the CEQA, we're still working on that. I was hoping it'd be done by now, but we've actually talked to the district, or the El Dorado Resources Conservation District that's working on the CEQA, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks. They were actually out today doing some biological surveys of all the district lands that they have. So for a total of 64 acres of all of the CSD owned properties, so we can do fuels reduction work on that. And until this is completed, we're unable to do any work on the district property budgeted for the CEQA, or budgeted from the CCI grant. So yeah, so that should be done in the next couple of months. And we're getting this done for about $10,000, which was also budgeted into the CCI grant. And go ahead. So year-to-date spending was the CEQA for $10,000. The postcards and magnets that went out, the 7,500 of them, around $5,800. So far year-to-date with the Growlersburg cruise, we've spent about $5,000. The Easy Ups, And then the total with the signs, the 5 signs, including the frames, the metal frames that we've had built, was just over $11,000. So far, year to date, we've spent about $33,692 off the CCI grant. So obviously we didn't start spending until this calendar year, just working, jumping through all the hoops and everything to get the process going and figuring out our priorities. Okay. And then here's some of our future projects. I've been in contact with County DOT. We did have a plan, but because of COVID-19, it's kind of slowed some of our stuff this spring that we were going to do. But we really want to improve the ingress and egress of some of the roads within Cameron Park, and DOT is going to provide, you know, just a few folks, and then we will pay for the crews. Again, we're probably more than likely going to use Growlersburg crews to come in and do that kind of work. And basically, it's just to trim up their easement so it's easier for our fire engines. So we have enough room to get our fire engines in some of these roads as people are trying to evacuate back out. So that's a big priority. We have about 10 miles worth of DOT roads that we've prioritized throughout the district. And we'll do that. We're going to continue to work on the CSD properties and working on the Pine Hill Preserve. And we will continue sending out prevention and educational materials with the community, and we plan to do something similar next spring with the mailers again. So go ahead to the next one. Any questions?
I've got a question for you, Jed.
Sure.
Well, first, just want to say thanks for putting up a sign there on Sandpiper. That's a great idea for the traffic and visibility there. Good use of that land. One question on the drone footage from Auburn Hills.
Yes.
On the cut behind the properties there's a number of trees. Just remind me what the policy is for keeping or leaving those trees, because some of those I know, as I live that area, those are pines, and if there is fire, those are high enough that those could catch too.
Yeah, you know, we don't like to clear cut all the trees. What we like to do is just break the continuity up and removing the lower brush, which we refer to as the ladder fields, you know, that allows the fire to burn in that and then creep up into the trees and then burn out. So we like to eliminate those ladder fields. It's cut down low. So even if you did have a low fire in there and then they limb the trees up, you know, 6 to 8 feet. So if you do have any flame lengths, it's not getting up into the trees. And so we try to break them up. There were a few removed, but we try to break up that continuity, and we don't like a full stand of trees together. You like to kind of break the tree tops up as well. So even if one did catch, it's not going from the next one to the next one. So we do leave a lot of that in there.
So the only way that catches is like a random spotting kind of thing.
Yeah, if an ember landed in it, but typically trees, a lot of the pine trees won't start just with an ember landing in the needles up top. It's usually the radiant heat from down below that rises up and preheats the timber, and then the ladder fields carry that up, and then, you know, it's usually direct flame impingement from the fire going across with the grass and brush and everything in between. That's why we try to remove all the ladder fields around those trees.
Got it. Thank you. That was good. The only other question was, as you're doing mailings and such, once things reopen, I don't remember from last year, do you have, does CAL FIRE have materials that would be left, say at the CSD, at the community center? Things like when we had the fire insurance meeting in Cameron Park earlier this year, the insurance commissioner had little booklets, and I pulled this out, home inventories, things like that, as well as like a little family plan booklet.
Yeah.
Don't know if we have any of those kinds of things that would be on the table there at the CSD.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We could definitely purchase some stuff like that and have it there at the district office for handouts as well. And we do have some stuff here at the fire stations that we hand out to folks, but it's not a bad idea. We could set something up at the district down there too that people can grab. Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
This is Director Morrison. I had the opportunity to meet with Chief Gaines and Mike Grassley today I met with Chief Gaines and Jess at Station 89 to review the signs and then meet with Mr. Grassley at Paul J. Ryan Memorial Park. The signs are absolutely spectacular. They're going to be very, very productive in the field for people to be able to literally walk right up to them and read them at eye level and further their education on defensible space. So thank you very much for that meeting today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And Ellie, do you have any comments?
And not really. I think he did a very excellent dissertation on this. And I do have my magnet on the refrigerator.
Good, good. Like to hear it.
And Ellie, I'm sorry, Felicity, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for the accountability and the review of what's happened so far. And it's really reassuring to see that work is continuing on this potential big problem here in Cameron Park at the same time that, we're all under COVID. And I just think it's a really good use of resources. I'm really impressed with what's been done. I think it's really just prudent choices between doing a big bunch of clearance around BLM and continuing to educate our residents. So thank you. That was just really reassuring. I think that's one of the most important things we do. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And with one benefit with the COVID-19, our Growlersburg crews have been limited on where they can work because they're keeping them out of the public. So it's been great that we've been sending a lot more crews up to the reserve because they're kind of out away from the public, away from people. And they've been able to get a lot more work. So we're actually ahead of schedule where we thought we were going to be by this time. So, which is really good news.
Yeah, just the last thing I'll say is, Felicity, I really appreciate the drone footage. That does give some nice perspective on what was done.
Yeah, thank you.
And I wanted to add that I am absolutely thrilled we were able to get this grant and make our community fire safe, and you guys have done a great job securing that funding, executing it, and I'm just thrilled to death. I hope we never actually have to worry about it, but I'm glad that we are taking care of it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
The next, this is an item if the public would like to ask some questions. Is there any hands raised?
Yes. Hello.
Hello, Gerald.
Yes. I'm curious. The fire department is going to drop off things at the CSD for the lobby, but the lobby's closed. How does that get disseminated to the public?
Well, we got to order them first, so it'd be a little bit before we had enough to.
Yeah, but the lobby's going to be closed for a while. And if it's closed, how do we disseminate this public? Could we maybe have something done electronically? And I know this may not be easy to do or inexpensive, but if we're keeping the lobby closed and we're keeping the lobbies of the fire department closed, how do people get a hold of this material?
Yeah, that's a good idea. We could put it on the district website, and yeah, absolutely, we could.
I would really appreciate that because, I have health issues that I'm sheltered in place, and I'm not going to go to the lobby. I will be participating with the CSD, but I won't be going to the lobby for a while. So, and lots of people won't. So let's think about a way that we can get this to the public, that you don't have to show up to a building that's locked.
Yeah, absolutely. We could work with that. And then also we've recently started a Cameron Park Fire Department Facebook page that we're planning to have a lot of educational material and links off of that as well. So that's kind of in the beginning stages, and we're kind of figuring that out and trying to post some of the links, and we actually want to put some of the drone footage on there as well so that people could view if they weren't able to see it here.
Well, Chief Gaines, I am absolutely certain that you're going to do whatever you can do to make this happen. But that did occur to me when you were talking about putting it in the lobby. The lobby's closed.
Yeah,
and
no,
so
absolutely.
I have absolutely every confidence that you will do whatever it is to get this information out to us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And we're always open to ideas too, so pitch them my way.
I will.
Great. Thank you, Gerald. I see that Barbara's hand is raised. And could you unmute Barbara, please, Nikki? And let's hear from Barbara.
Good evening. Hello? Can you hear me?
Your volume's
yes.
really low.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Really? Can you hear me now?
Little better.
Huh.
You're
Little
not
better.
very,
Hold on. Well, I don't know how to turn it up.
can you bring your, can you speak to the microphone closer?
Well, I have my laptop right here in front of me. Hold on. Can you hear me?
I think we can hear you well.
Barely.
Yeah, I think we're all right.
I just want to say how thrilled I am to hear everything that our fire partners have done for our community. Of all the years that I've been talking about fire safety in this community, and without, I believe, the partnership that we've had in place for going on 25 years now, and the expertise and the knowledge of the CAL FIRE personnel, I don't think we'd be where we're at in this community. And I just am really thrilled, and I want to thank Sherry and Jed and all the people that have worked on this, and thank the district staff for working along with them. I know over the years it's been a battle with BLM and Pine Hill, and finally we see all this cooperation, if you will, between the departments, which is so refreshing to me. So I just want to thank them for everything that they brought to our community. So that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Barbara. Appreciate that.
You know it. Okay.
Thank you, Barbara. Nikki, has anyone else raised their hand?
Nope.
No? Okay. Just a reminder, in order to allow everyone to speak and be heard, we request those in the audience to raise their hand. There's a button on your screen, and that will notify Nikki, and then we can make sure we all talk one at a time so that you can be heard properly. Thank you. All right, so moving on to our next item would be our open forum. And our open forum for non-agenda items is our opportunity to listen to the members of the public who may speak on any item that's not on the agenda that falls within the jurisdiction of the board of directors. And Nikki, do we have anyone raising their hands who'd like to speak during open forum?
Nope.
What? Yes. I want to speak. Pardon me.
Go ahead, Gerald.
Thank you. I would like to address the concept of opening our parks. I've emailed all of you. I've emailed the general manager, and I'm not happy. Let me address this. Park users will be using this at their own risk. What does that mean, first of all? Then we get to people would adhere to social distancing and not gathering with individuals outside of their households. Let me ask you a question, all of you. If people are playing pickleball, tennis, or in a skate park, how are you going to determine that they're within their families? Huh? Anybody got an answer for that? And then, oh, gee, let's see. If crowds are gathering at park amenities without taking appropriate COVID-19 precautions, the amenity will close. Well, what constitutes that crowd? Is it 10 people? How do you get social distancing at the skate park? How do you get everybody at the skate park being from the same home? How do you get people playing pickleball or tennis that are quarantining together? We have 25% population in this community, seniors. Vulnerable population, and you people are opening this up to COVID-19 hotspots. And I'm asking all of you, how do you address these questions of mine? Because I've sent them to you, but you've not sent me back anything. None of you have. The general manager, the 5 board members, none of you have. Our park superintendent, none of you have. And I'm curious, why on earth? What, are you okay, Ellie?
Keep talking.
Yeah, I will. How is it? How do you intend on enforcing social distancing at the skate park and making sure those people are all from their own homes? Huh? That's what I'm asking. And none of you have an answer. Not the general manager, not anybody from the board, not anybody from staff. So let's make COVID-19 hotspots. We have 67 cases in Cannon Park as of yesterday, 0 deaths. Thank God. But how do you answer this? And I've sent each and every one of you an email. I've only got 2 responses, and they were lame. Well, I don't hear anything other than coughing. Does anybody want to email me what we do, in fact, to how many people do we need in any one facility before it's overcrowded and we shut it down? How do we clean our bathrooms? Because guess what? They are allowing some gyms, not big box gyms, but some gyms to open, but they don't have showers or bathrooms. Federal parks are open. In Wyoming, Yellowstone Park is open, but you can't go to the bathroom. But our bathrooms are open. How many times are they being cloned? How many times are they being cleaned every day? Huh? Anybody asking that? Anybody asked the general manager that when she said we're going to reopen it? Well, no, not even. All 5 of you need to ask her, what's the plan? What's the plan? How many people constitutes crowding? How do we enforce social distancing, wearing masks, and how many times are our bathrooms going to be cleaned? Because guess what? The federal government, the state government, the county government, they're saying, But Cameron Park's saying, I'm 66 years old. I have COPD. Guess what? I'm not liking this. And there are lots of other people like me who are not liking this. And several of you are for re-election. And we're not going to like this. You better get this in a row. You better get your ducks in a row. Find out how you make this reopening safe. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you for your comments, Gerald. And I believe we have another hand up. And Barbara, is your hand raised? And if
Can you hear me?
yes.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if Gerald's listening, but I don't really think we need to have the anger level and the passion. You guys didn't do anything wrong. I, for one, feel that by opening back up the locked parks, maybe gave some respite and relief to our personnel, our law enforcement, and hopefully the public. You know, there were some things that Gerald said that maybe should be addressed. Number one, the restrooms. Maybe we shouldn't have our restrooms open. But there comes a time where everybody has to take responsibility for themselves and their actions in public. And as you know, I work in a very public place. And people have to be responsible. We cannot babysit them. You can't babysit them. I don't expect my agency to babysit the public. Joe's skate park is back open. You've done nothing in my eyes that is breaking a law or breaking a requirement of the governor. I think if you were, I doubt that Jill would have agreed to unlock the door of the skate park and the dog park. And this is what I have to say. if people have issues, then stay home. I live with an 84-year-old. He doesn't go out. He doesn't feel comfortable going out. And I'm fine with that. And I'm fine with anybody who feels they shouldn't go out in public right now. But I do not believe that we are creating COVID hotspots. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this will all backfire on us. But you know what? We're never going to know unless we really just do it. So I want to thank you guys for, you know, your work, and Jill and Mike. And I know this has been hard, but I, for one, back you up 100% in opening up the luck parks. That's it. Hello?
You're muted, Monique.
Hello?
You're muted, Monique. There you go.
Okay, I'm getting it figured out.
There you go.
Thank you, Barbara. We appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
So is there anyone else who has raised their hand, Nikki?
No.
Okay, so moving on to our next item is our approval of the consent agenda. And do we have a motion?
This is Felicity. I'd move to approve the consent agenda.
Wait. I've got a question. I'm sorry, I couldn't, my mic wouldn't unmute. I had a question on the open forum statement. It says open forum for non-agenda items. The members of the public may speak on an item. Shouldn't that be members of the public and the board?
I believe the board can speak on non-agenda items when our matters to and from.
No, this has been changed.
I don't recall the board speaking regarding non-agenda items in that manner, in that area.
I would like that to be checked. I believe that that sentence has been changed.
And
Members of the public and the board can speak to non-agenda items at that time.
I don't recall that was a change. We did everything in track changes with the agenda, and I don't remember board members ever speaking during open forum. That is for the public, and board members have traditionally spoken during matters to and from at the end of the agenda.
Yeah, I don't agree.
Well, it was that way on our April agenda.
That may be.
It's been that way for a while.
At least worded that way.
And Jason, are we off, or are we allowed to talk about this at this point?
If we're going to talk about a change to the agenda, then I would prefer that it come up later in the meeting, perhaps as a proposal to have the staff go back and look at the language and see if that's consistent or inconsistent with prior practice.
I agree.
All right, so perhaps we can discuss that during matters to and from. Would that be appropriate?
That would be fine, certainly.
Okay, Holly, we'll discuss that on matters to and from.
And I would just add at this point, whether it's been changed or not, that's a little difficult for anyone to verify without actually going back and looking at the prior agendas. So it's probably, it can be discussed during matters to and from, but the checking of it would probably have to happen later and come back to a future board meeting, excuse me.
Okay. All right, so right now we have a motion from Felicity for the approval of the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Could we have a poll vote, please, Jill?
Director Scobie?
Aye.
Director Aston?
Aye.
Director Carlson?
Aye.
Director Wooten?
Aye.
Director Morrison?
Aye.
Right, the consent agenda has been approved 5-0. Moving on to our next item, our general business. That would be item 7, approve resolution 2020-11 to approve Fire Facilities, Inc. and Lamont Construction, Inc. for the fire training tower project. And looks like Sherry's going to tell us about that.
And so, you know, if you see Jed gone, he ran out on a call, so you know. Okay, so on March 18th, the board of directors approved the construction of a fire training tower at 89. We have researched vendors and we recommend Fire Facilities as a sole source vendor for the training tower and Lehman Construction as the builder. The Fire and Emergency Services Committee reviewed our recommendation for Fire Facilities at the May meeting and supported it moving forward to the board of directors. And since that time, we have found an approved builder for the construction on the state, on the California procurement list. So they do business with the state and have met all the MQs for being a state vendor. So that did not come in front of the fire committee, but since we've been made aware of that now, we were bringing that to you right now. So in summary, the district policy allows for the board of directors to approve a vendor without a competitive process if that vendor has a product that's unique and cannot be secured from another vendor. In addition, as it relates to the recommended builder, the vendor is listed on the state procurement. And as a matter of fact, both of them are. Fire Facilities is their sole source. They're also on the vendor list. And the contractor, which would erect the building in California, is also on the vendor list. Fire Facilities is unique from other vendors and was recommended as a sole source because just in summary, they have the 2-inch thick insulation that is patented. It protects the building by providing a protection from the heat to the structure of the building, damage from the heat. It has a 15-year limited warranty that's not prorated. So other than us abusing and literally abusing the building, the warranty is going to cover it, and it's not prorated for 15 years. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't exist anywhere else. So and then the Cal Fire Training Academy in Ione, where we train all of our state firefighters, has the tower that was built by Fire Facilities. They got towers all over the world, but I personally went through this when I was an engineer, and it has proven itself. It's tried and true, minimal maintenance, and it is still out there. I went and I was out there about a month ago, and our Cameron Park folks, not our Cameron Park person, one of our guys who used to work at Cameron Park, was putting on a training for the unit, and they were climbing up and down that building. So it's getting used almost daily over there. So we are recommended Lehman Construction to build the tower. And Lehman is a certified dealer for this company. Fire Facilities has a certain number of vendors who construct and erect their towers in California. And this vendor or this contractor is actually on the statewide vendor list. So next steps, by approving the manufacturer, Fire Facilities, and the builder, Lehman Construction, the county plan department can proceed with the permitting and approval process. And we are working on, if you approve this, we'll get the actual bid from both. I have a bid, but we'd actually get the actual official contract and bid from both vendors. And we're currently working with $450,000 that's budgeted in the fiscal year. Do you have any questions?
I have a question. Thank you for the report. That read through the specs on that material, and they make a very strong case for their tower and their material. It's amazing. And I understand the idea of only procuring the tower materials from the one company. My question was the construction. I recognize that is it Lehman Construction is a certified vendor with the state. Just want to make sure, just in terms of cost, that we're feeling okay moving ahead this way rather than looking for other certified dealers.
So working with the vendor Fire Facilities, Steve Harms is who I've been working with. he knows what it costs to put this building up. He uses Lehman all the time. He actually had a couple other vendors that are from around the state. Lehman actually happens to be closest and has put up, I don't know what the closest building they put up here, but he said they are all in the same range of price. So I think that the fact that he's very comfortable, he works with Lehman, he already gave us a bid knowing what they would come in at. And if anything, they'll come in under that. That we budgeted for that 400. That's where I got that number for the $450,000 was not only the building, but the cost to erect it, which is a lot. The only variance in here is that we're waiting for a soils report. We did a soils test. We're waiting for the report to come back, and that'll determine how expensive the foundation will be based on the soils and like how deep they'll have to go and everything else. So that we're waiting. That should be in any time now.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that that was important, that this construction with this vendor provider of the materials is a vital link. Okay. Thank you.
And Ellie, did you have any questions regarding
No,
that?
I'm perfectly comfortable with the answers we've been given on this.
Great. And Holly, did you have any comments or questions?
No, I think the choice of vendors is good. They seem to have the background and capability to build a tower that's going to work for our training purposes. So congratulations, and thank you for doing all this work.
Yes.
And Felicity, did you have any questions or comments?
Just that it looks like there's really some effort made to design and build something or procure vendors that are going to have a lower maintenance item. So I appreciate that for the long-term cost of the district. I appreciate that the fire department has thought about whether or not this is this has been used elsewhere and whether the state has them on their lists. And it looks good to me. So thank you. That's all.
I have a question. I didn't see the contractor come through before, Sherry. So I know you need somebody to build the foundation, but I know you firefighters are really handy and do all kinds of stuff yourself. Have you? Not the foundation. I'm just curious. Have you looked into actually erecting the tower?
It is literally, this is a construction company. No, we can't do it. It's way beyond. We can pour some concrete and put some, hammer and nails and sheetrock and everything, but this is a big undertaking, and he has folks that are literally certified that do his, well, he's got like a list of people who do his buildings. So this is way beyond what we can do.
Yeah, I only brought it up because it did say in the report for self-erecting. And so that's why I thought I would ask. I'm not surprised. I just thought I would ask.
Yeah, the contractor will, it has to be and actually another thing is that the county requires a licensed contractor to oversee all this and put it in, install it. And so the only reason that fire facilities is not installing it and doing a package deal is that they've never, I can't remember all the details, but they are not a licensed contractor in California. They're licensed contractors in other areas, so they use a licensed contractor in California to install their buildings, and the county requires that. And then they'll do the foundation and everything.
Okay, thank you. Nikki, it looks, Holly, did you have something else you wanted to ask?
No, I was going to make a motion.
I see. Before we do that, let's take it out to the public. Is there anyone, Nikki, raising their hand?
No.
No? Okay. We are ready for a motion, Holly.
Move to approve resolution number 2020-11, resolution to approve Fire Facilities Inc. and Limon Construction Inc. for the fire training tower project.
And is there a second?
I'll second that.
We'll say Eric got that one. as the second. And a poll vote, please. Jill?
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Easton,
Aye.
Director Carlson,
Aye.
Director Wooten,
Aye.
Director Morrison.
Aye.
Wonderful. We have now approved Resolution 2020-11, 5-0. Moving on to our next item, number 8, Resolution 2020-12, to approve Brighton Energy for an energy efficient lighting project at the community center. It looks like Mike Grassley's gonna kick us off on that.
Yes, so good evening, everyone, and I do apologize ahead of time. It is a crazy night in the Grassley house, so dogs and a crying kid. We'll see if they behave perfectly. So before you is Resolution 2012 or 2020-12, and it's a proposal to upgrade the lighting at the community center, interior and exterior lighting. This was a project that was part of the Solar Ad Hoc Committee that was flushed through them. The district did seek 3 bids, 3 different proposals. Ultimately, we sent the proposals out to ARC, who is our solar consultant, to take a look at the 3 proposals because they were vastly different. And their recommendation was kind of the same as ours, as the district's, is Brighton Energy's proposal. Brighton Energy is on the state procurement list, so we don't have to seek like proposals to go out for bids for this project. Basically, and I think attached is the audit page, which I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it's very lengthy. But to make a long story short, they're going to be upgrading 308 lights around the community center, interior and exterior. Not only is the LED technology beneficial in cost savings, but it's also going to remove all of the drivers and the ballast from the lights themselves, which takes a lot of the maintenance aspect away from maintaining the lights around the community center, which is a big plus. The annual savings that's estimated for this project is close to $8,000 a year in energy. The initial project that we're proposing, $40,197. And we're looking at about 5 years for this project to pay for itself if we decide to go with PG&E's onboard financing. The district did submit paperwork to PG&E for this project, but something got mixed up between Brighton Energy and PG&E, so we are waiting to hear back from PG&E for approval. I was hoping to have pre-approval for the meeting tonight, but they're just not quite there yet. So we are still fleshing out the project with PG&E. But also, there's the option too, if the district wants to, use money out of the fund balance or money out of the Parks and Recreation reserve policy that's going to be coming forward in the budget season or this next budget cycle, to pay for the project and seek the savings all up front immediately. So a couple different ways to look at it. The other part about the fixtures is the warranty period on them. Majority of the fixtures come with a 5-year warranty, and the lifespan of these fixtures is anywhere between 7 to 10 years. As an estimated lifespan based on the hours used. Of course, some lights are going to be on longer than others, so it's all going to kind of weigh itself out. And the other important part of this project that the Solar Ad Hoc Committee felt was that in order for the district to build a correct solar system, we need to know how much energy we use. And by implementing a project like this, we will be able to calculate and build a correct size solar system without overbuilding it. So we felt that this project was important to move forward with first before we start building the solar. And real quick, I did have some emails that came in from one of the board members. So I was going to go ahead and read the questions and the answers. I forwarded the questions over to Dan Daly from Brighton Energy. He was going to try to be part of this meeting tonight to help with the presentation, but he's unavailable. So I'll go ahead and go through these questions and answers, and it'll probably break down a little bit more of the details. So the first question was, can staff install some of the really easy fixtures to help reduce our installation fee? The reply was, it's not recommended. None of the products are easy to install. It involves bypassing the ballast, which requires a licensed electrician to conduct this work. And I think that's part of the PG&E process, is they require licensed electricians to do this stuff, which none of us are. The second question was, some products have daylight sensors as an option. Are we using those? And is the reduction in power reflected in the savings calculations? And the short answer is yes. And all of the air fixtures come with photocells. So each light will have its own photocell to turn on and off, which is actually going to help the maintenance side of things as well, because the lights that we have now on the exterior have these extremely complicated timers. And so I know staff will really like the ability to let Mother Nature just turn them on and off for us. The third question was, so there's a combination of 8 and 6-inch downlights, multi-wattage, and multi-cc that have different settings on the lights. I have found that fixtures with fewer features can be less expensive. Are these light fixtures available without these extra settings that would be cheaper? I also noticed that these have 3-year warranties on these specific lights, and is that going to be a problem? Brighton's reply was, actually the cost of the multi-watt downlights cans are less than the standard fixture, or the standard fixed wattage fixtures, so they're cheaper. And they actually negotiated an additional price reduction for our project to lower our costs. So those lights have been negotiated already at the lowest they can be. The fourth one, I would like to verify the incentives line listed in the summary of the project costs of $4,387, that it is a credit as Brighton receives all the utility rebates. So the way that they explain that this works is that this is an instant rebate to the customer. Brighton Energy will invoice PG&E and collect the incentive amounts. So the incentives are built into the scope of work that Brighton will be receiving. The fifth one is, several products have a 5-year warranty from time of purchase. How long between purchase and installation? I would like to make sure that we are covered by the manufacturer warranty as long as possible. And so actually Brighton Energy has been preparing the products as we speak, getting stuff ready. So in the event that everyone involved is ready to proceed, the turnaround time from placing the order and completing the install would be about 3 to 4 weeks, which is actually good timing right now, because with the community center not being open, if you choose to move this project forward, it won't disrupt anything at all as far as programming and user groups and stuff like that. And the last question, it was basically, are they going to do energy reports prior to the system and then a new energy report after the LED lights have been installed? And their simple answer is no, it is not included in the scope of work. But that's something that the district can track fairly easy just with utility bills. And also once we start to build the solar, if the LED technology is implemented, we'll definitely be able to see the difference between the two. So I think reporting will be fairly easy. With that, I think that's about all I had. Jill, I don't know if you had anything else to add on to this project?
Nope.
Is there any questions from the board?
And not a question, but a comment. It's worth noting that the energy savings in this are based on historical data. In light of our current situation, it's possible that the payback time is a little longer, not knowing how things roll out and when we can bring people back in, et cetera. Having said that, I still think it's the right thing to do, even if it's a little longer. I wanted to ask you on the PG&E on-bill payback, on-bill financing. We're just waiting to hear back. Is there any question that would be approved or not?
So when I first filled out the paperwork for the PG&E on-board financing, I guess we were flagged in their system as having an outstanding bill, or some kind of outstanding loan, but they couldn't tell me what it was. So Energy kind of stepped in and flushed it out with PG&E. And it sounds like it is something on their end that is that's causing the issue. So I don't think we have any issues with PG&E or with our accounts.
Okay.
But it's something that they're trying to work out.
Because while I understand we have funds in the in the Parks and Recreation Facility Reserve, I would prefer to keep those there. Again, not knowing what's coming in the future and revenues and all that, that would probably be helpful to us to have in pocket. And financing this doesn't change then cash flow, and we will realize savings later. So how long after construction is payment usually expected on a project like this?
That's actually a really good question. I don't know.
I'm wondering if that buys us the time that we need to then be able to verify on-bill financing with PG&E so that we can just go about that.
Yeah, I can definitely, you know, I've been pushing PG&E on a lot of different things going through the district right now, so I can definitely reach out to them. And
because you're right, this is a great time to be doing that with everything shut down. I mean, that's just ideal. And to get it in before things ramp back up again, not knowing how that phases in, but that would be my preference.
So just to add to that, the district generally pays in arrears. We don't pay for work prior to it being completed. And so if the work is going to be completed, say in the next 3 to 4 weeks, we probably wouldn't get a bill from Brighton for payment for a month. Does that help?
Yeah. I was hoping that would buy us a window of time enough to be able to settle all that with PG&E and get that OBF going.
Yeah, so right now, I think that the resolution has a specific date in there. So, you know, if you want to, you know, propose something else, just make sure that it's noted when we make approval of the project.
Got it. Thank you.
I think the other thing I forgot to mention real quick is that this, the OBF financing through PG&E, it's a 0% loan, and all savings is what pays back the loan. So there is there's no risk to the district, no out-of-pocket money if we go with the financing option.
I've been notified Holly was raising her hand. Holly, do you have some comments?
Yeah, so Eric, could you restate your question? Did you ask when payment is due? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, I was trying to get a sense of timeline here. So let's say we approve this and the installation moves forward. It's 3 to 4 weeks. You know, that puts us middle end of June. Then the billing happens, and is there a 30-day pay by, that kind of thing? Just trying to establish.
The contract doesn't establish that. It just says 100% of project cost due at completion. Okay. So we might want to get clarification on that.
Yeah. And I think that's part of what we're saying here is if we can have something in there that allows us a little window of time, knowing we have the resources, knowing we have the funds to pay for it, but really we're going for that OBF.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should finance it through PG&E. Agreed. And not take the money from the reserve fund. That's my vote. Oops, sorry, Nikki.
Felicity, do you have some questions or comments?
I read through the materials, and again, I have a lot of confidence. This has already been through one committee, and it looks like it's got a lot of external validation. So no questions. Just thanks for bringing it forward.
And Ellie, any questions or comments?
No, I basically agree with Felicity on this one.
I unfortunately was logged off briefly when you're answering those board member questions. Specifically, number 3 is the one I missed. So the question was, were there any other fixtures available, and is the 3-year warranty a problem?
Yeah, so the response from Brighton Energy was actually the cost of the multi-watt downlights, the ones we're getting, are less expensive than a standard fixture. Okay. Plus, they also negotiated an additional price reduction to reflect on the total customer pay. The 3-year warranty, I mean, I can look at it, but I believe that's one of the lights that has a 10-year lifespan. And in my experience, because we kind of did a project like this, converted a lot of stuff over when I was down in El Dorado Hills, the LED lights and the technology out there, I've never run into a warranty issue before where I've had to have a problem with it. So I think a 3-year warranty, I would be confident that that's plenty.
Okay, thank you. And Holly, were you raising your hand again?
Yes. Hold on. Mike, you said 308 light fixtures were to be replaced. Is that all of the lights at the community center?
It is.
No.
I believe so. I did the walkthrough with Brighton Energy. I believe it is all the lights. If it's not, the only ones that might not be here are the stage lights, which are rarely ever used. And that's something that staff, we could, if we wanted to, we could replace the bulbs with LED pretty easily, but they're hardly used. So,
But you think it's the majority of the lights?
yeah, it's not going to be the pool lights underwater. But everything else is covered in this plan.
And it might be worth reminding us, Mike, in the proposals that came forward, because we pushed Brighton forward, there was another proposal that had more lights in their proposal, but their bid was significantly higher, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 higher, and there just wasn't worth going after some of those things for the cost that we saw in that. So this felt like the right combo.
Yeah.
There
This
wasn't
one has
being missed in the process.
no. Basically, the big difference between the proposal Eric's talking about and this proposal is the quality of lights. In the first proposal, we're like buying a Tesla, which we don't.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and see if there's anyone from the public who would like to address this issue. Nikki, is there anyone raising their hand?
No, there is not.
All right, so do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2020-12, resolution to approve Brighton Energy for an energy efficient lighting project at the community center.
I would like to second that.
So, Eric, there is a timeline in there of giving PG&E until June 3rd.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for the reminder on that.
If you go out 30 days, I've got my calendar in front of me. That'll take you to January 19th.
January 19th, July.
So from today, if they start work next week, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks goes to June 19th.
Okay. Thank you for the reminder on that. I appreciate it. I withdraw my motion so that we can amend that. Let me ask my fellow directors, what's reasonable on a timeline here?
Wait, before you do that, you withdrew your motion. Jason, what happens when we had a motion seconded?
I'm sorry, I was muted there. He can withdraw the motion. I'd ask whoever seconded it, which I believe was Director Wooten, to withdraw her second as well.
I will withdraw my second on the motion.
Okay, so did we? Go ahead, Eric.
No, I appreciate General Manager reminding me on that. So I'll put this to the board and Jill as well, please. What's a reasonable date then?
Mike, when do you think they're going to start?
Yeah. Can I add one thing real quick? This is funny. I just got an email from PG&E like 5 minutes ago, and they so basically they approved our project as far as the OBF financing.
We can't give a date.
Technology is great.
We've got financing approved, so.
Yeah, the only thing is the numbers that Brighton sent over, I guess something got crossed, it sounds like, but they should have it all cleared up very shortly. It looks like our project got.
So PG&E has approved the project?
Does it say that, Eric? What is it, or Mike, what does it say exactly?
It says, just an update on your lighting project. We received an email from EBEW, which is the PG&E program, with approval on your OBF. Unfortunately, the numbers they sent are incorrect and does not match what the contract is signed. So Dan from Brighton Energy sent another response to PG&E to address this issue and keep the process flowing, and he will update us once all the numbers match. So, and
there's still some time involved here.
I just got that, so I wanted to bring that up real quick before.
Can you add that language, Eric? When approval? so many days from final approval by PG&E of the.
Well, right now, the way the
Yeah.
resolution is written, it gives you until June 3rd. So I think you're fine.
Well, what if we simply said, and Jill, guide me here, if we simply change these lines, directs and authorizes the general manager to finance the project with PG&E on-bill financing, period. The next line is, if OBF loan is unavailable by the time payment is due, then direct staff to budget for the project in the Parks and Recreation Facilities Reserve.
I think that's good.
Is that okay?
I do too.
All right, so that was your motion, Eric?
So I am making a motion, and I'm just to make sure I got this right here, though. I really want this to go on OBF.
Exactly. I
want to
agree
make
with
sure that there isn't any stumbling in this.
Right.
So Mike, I'm looking for every angle here. Payment due in full, correct? After work done?
Yes.
Not an installation?
No, it's from every indication I have, the project's going to be paid in full once the work is completed.
It's on the project. It's on the contract in the packet.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with that statement of directing staff to go to the reserve funds by a certain date.
Well,
Well, the other thing we could do,
when OBF is approved.
what we could do, no, we wouldn't be able to get a refund in that count.
Well, this is Felicity. I mean, we are having another board meeting in a month. Would that be time to take a vote on something? Well, you still have to notice that a couple weeks in advance, I guess.
But I think the idea too is, if possible, we'd like to approve this so they can move forward and the installation happen while facilities are closed. That just.
So the other thing is, if you said directs and authorizes the general manager to finance the project upon approval of the PG&E on bill financing, leave the date out, and if it doesn't happen, then we'll have to change bring it back to the board. But
You're saying take out the line of
the date,
direction to pay for it out of reserves?
Take out the June 3rd date and take out the project going to the reserves. Just directs and authorizes to finance the project upon approval of OBF.
So then that question comes back to Mike. Is Brighton going to be okay with that kind of language without a secondary method of payment?
Brighton doesn't have anything. Brighton, it's not a Brighton opinion. That's a board and a district opinion.
Yeah, this is a staff recommendation.
Right. And that's what I'm asking. Thank you.
Yeah. So I would, as your general manager, feel better that we have a secondary funding source so that we can pay the bill when it's due. Hopefully with the OBF, I agree with all of you. I would rather keep our cash with a 0% loan, but I do think it's important that we move ahead with the project. And when the bill is due, the OBF is not available, then we should be able to pay it through the reserves.
I agree.
And it sounds like, I mean, either we're already approved, we just need to change the numbers.
Yeah.
At this point, it doesn't feel like a question of if, it's simply when.
It's when. And Brighton Energy knows that the district's, at least mine and Jill's expectation is that we put this project through the PG&E financing. So they're on the same page with us with that.
Would another option be to ask for a change in the contract that it's due and payable within 30 days to give us some additional wiggle room to make sure PG&E is actually going to offer that? Is that something that would be worthwhile?
Brighton has been very generous with us. I would kind of hate to do that to them. Typically, once we get a bill, we pay within 2 weeks. So you'll have 2 weeks there because once we get the bill, it takes about 2 weeks for us to pay it.
Okay, so we're looking at that on a conservative time frame, middle of July. Right? Because if it's a 3 to 4 week, that's all of June, which starts in a week or so. 2 weeks after all of that is middle of July. So almost 2 months from now, enough time for PG&E to clear that up.
Yep.
Are you satisfied, Eric? Is that something that you'd still be comfortable?
Yeah, I'm just playing out the scenarios in my mind. I don't want us to approve it and then a week, if something happens, there's a delay, and a week later, PG says, yeah, you're good. I just don't want that. Because we can't reimburse it. And I guess we could, and maybe that's something that we could put into the language of this. And Holly, maybe this is something is, if we have to draw from the Parks and Rec facilities reserves, then the board will revisit from our budget, replenishing that, because we will realize those savings immediately on our bill. The on-bill financing pays for it through our bill stays level. If we pay for it out of park reserves, then we realize the savings immediately in our bills, and so then we pull from our operating fund to replenish the reserve.
A little convoluted.
That makes sense to me.
Well, yeah, my preference is not to pull from the reserves, but I think this is the right project we're doing, and I don't know if we need to dink around too much on a week or two here. So I don't know if that's a solution that moves us forward.
I think the stickler is the date, if such a loan is available by June 3rd.
Right, and I think we've already said we'll just drop that line. And we'll reword it to say, directs and authorizes the general manager to finance the project with PG&E on-bill financing, period.
Yeah, otherwise we're going to go forward with it. We're reasonably sure we're going to get the OBF loan. There's no reason why we shouldn't. There's a simple, it sounds like some numbers are entered incorrectly.
So if OBF loan, and we can maybe change the next line, if OBF loan is unavailable in a reasonable time.
At the time payment is due.
At the time payment is due, direct staff budget.
Going forward with the project, if we agree to go forward with the project.
Yeah.
Without the OBF, what's our other choice?
Yeah, that's it.
Funds.
So.
Is there no other funding available? Is there no other financing opportunity?
No.
Not 0%.
Not doing it.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine with me.
Okay. So then, Monique, may I make a motion with an amendment?
Yeah, well, we have no motion at this point because you took it because it was rescinded.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve.
Wait, have we gone out for public?
Yes, we did. No one.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 2020-12. The resolution to approve Brighton Energy for an energy efficient lighting project at the community center with these amendments. The line of directs and authorizes the general manager to finance the project be changed to finance the project with PG&E on-bill financing, period. Strike the remainder of that sentence, if such a loan is available by June 3rd, 2020. And for the next bullet, if the OBF loan is unavailable within a reasonable time when payment is due, comma, direct staff to budget for the project in the Parks and Recreation Facilities reserves.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
If the OBF loan is available at the time of the payment, time of payment due.
Within a reasonable time after payment is due. Correct.
Okay.
And then Ellie seconded, and
Yes.
poll. Everyone ready for a poll vote?
Yes.
Okay, Jill?
Director Scobie?
Aye.
Director Aston?
Aye.
Director Carlson?
Aye.
Director Wooten?
Aye.
Director Morrison?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Our resolution 2020-12 with amendments has been approved 5-0. And now moving on to our next item, board informational items. We have general matters to and from board members and staff. And I believe that Jill has some items to share.
So I'll start us off. I wanted to give you an update regarding FEMA. In my general manager's report, I talked about having registered with FEMA as a vendor, which basically says that the district is providing emergency services on behalf of FEMA in our community. So we are successfully registered. My intention was to start billing FEMA for our services so that we could start capturing that money. I got into the system today. We have about $7,000 worth of supplies and services and staff time that we have spent on this so far. I started into the application process and uploading documents. I got stuck on a window. I called their help desk, and the gentleman was very helpful and directed me to his streamlined application process, which is 35 pages long.
That's all? That's good.
That 35-page application is due every time we request a reimbursement. And so with our part-time staff gone, and so having professional staff work on this and only getting 75% of our $7,000, I felt like I wanted to be a little bit more efficient with our time. So we will wait to have some more expenses, and we will put in probably two, maybe one during in a couple of months here for our expenses, and maybe one at the end of COVID. But doing them as we go along is not going to work. So I just wanted to let everybody know that.
Thank you.
We do, I talked with our safety specialist today. She's working at home on our workforce protection plan. We do have a draft plan that we're going to start vetting with our current permanent staff, and then we'll get that finalized. And so as our pandemic continues, but as restrictions in our communities, change, we'll be able to bring back our workforce safely. So that is being put into place and moving forward. Recreation staff are working on a June recreation calendar. There will be some online opportunities. We're very hopeful that maybe the county will move into stage 3 sometime during June. We're preparing for that, and we'll probably have some very creative in-person programming as well. We've talked about having movies, dropping off your kids and having movies in the assembly hall. Every kid brings their own blanket. They're all socially distanced, and parents can drop off their kid and they can watch a movie for a couple of hours. So there's also an idea that's out there. Families are assigned a table and everybody gets the same puzzle. And then it's a contest, it's a time contest to see what family can finish that puzzle first. So there's a lot of ideas out there for families and youth and during the pandemic. And so we're hoping to offer some relief. And our park improvement plan that went to the Parks and Recreation Committee, our survey will probably be going live maybe by the end of this week or at least by next week. So
I thought it went out today.
It could have.
Survey went out today.
It did go out today? Yeah. Perfect.
I saw it.
Good.
Great.
So that's my update, and that's my update.
Great, thank you. Let's see, let's go ahead and go through all the board members. Holly, would you like to start? Matters to and from?
So I was really excited about these fire safety signs today. I think you'll be very impressed when you see them. A lot of work went into them. They're big, which I think was an initial concern, but I think that they're going to be perfect. Posted along some walking paths at Rasmussen and Paul J. Ryan Park, and one at the community center and on Bass Lake Road. And I think they're going to be fantastic. So I'm really excited about you all seeing them. And thank you to staff. I know it's been interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's see, Ellie, you're next in my line here.
I don't have too much to say, but I did watch Governor Newsom when he was at our fire station. And actually, I didn't know the fire chief he brought up to talk to. I thought it was going to be Chief Moritz. But he had a lot to say. And he even off and on covered the bathrooms very slightly, but he covered them. And it's in phase 2, I believe. So there's no problems there. And things are going along smoothly if we can all follow the guidelines. Sometimes we're going to think we're heroes. Other times we think, darn, and I'm cleaning that up. But everything else seems fine. And our group at the CSD are loyal and hardworking people. And it's appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. Eric, you're next in my line. Matters to and from.
All right. First of all, I've been taking some workshops on the CSDA website, and I've been enjoying that. So that's some of it's been a refresher. Some of it's good new information. So this is a chance to shout out to Nikki. Thank you for helping guide me through some of those. I've got a couple more in the queue I'll do in the next couple weeks once I'm done grading assignments in distance learning now. Just wanted to say too, I've been moving about the community, as some of you are, I'm sure too, just seeing how our community is responding with facilities and all this. I know mine's just a snapshot, and we had a little trouble at the skate park, but all of that is diminished. And what I'm seeing is people, for the most part, really observing the guides and distancing, even at the dog park. 5 or 6 people sitting in chairs 6 feet apart, holding onto their dogs. I mean, literally doing the things that needed to be done. So I'm grateful our community as a whole seems to be behaving properly, which helps our efforts in this too, and helps us as we're moving forward. So another chance to say thanks to Mike for all your work in coordinating just oversight where we can. And we're not policemen and we can't do it to that extent, but for what we can do, you've done a great job. Thank you. One thought to give to the general manager and for our rec supervisor as such, as a teacher, I'm not sure how things are going to be this fall. Nobody is. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of a hybrid model that gets introduced to the school systems. So just planning the idea that there might be some opportunity for our CSD facilities there, particularly considering how close we are to elementary and middle school. If they need extra facilities for spacing, whether that's daycare, study facility for kids, if they do an off week, on week, kids are going to need kids are going to need places to be when they're not at school on their off week. So there might be some opportunities for space use there, even expanded physical education opportunities. Again, don't know how all this is going to look, but just as I'm in that circle, just wanted to throw that out for some initial consideration.
Yeah, we can reach out to the principals at those schools.
Yeah.
Well, parents can go back to work.
Right, as well as just programs, right?
Yeah.
That the community can take advantage of in those off weeks that aren't necessarily school driven, but we provide. So that was it. The only other thing in that is I would encourage my fellow board members as the weeks go on to take advantage of the CDC website. As we're moving through this, there are some pieces there. Some of it is really general and not always as helpful, but there are some specific things that can help us in the decisions we're going to be making as the general manager and staff consider the different phases of opening. You know, for instance, swimming pools that are properly treated kill COVID. So, right, you know, so that becomes a piece of our knowledge for consideration. So I just encourage you to investigate that in the state sites that have that info. That'll probably help us. So that's all for me right now.
Great, thank you, Eric. Felicity.
Okay, yeah, hi. I was really excited to attend the Special District Legislative Days Tuesday afternoon. I was really impressed with the speakers. We had Alex Padilla, the Secretary of State, and the Secretary Crowfoot of the Natural Resources Agency, who in particular spoke a lot about the importance of fire prevention and protection in the budget, in the state budget for this coming year. I really learned a lot from both of them speaking. And then I was just really impressed overall with the CSDA staff. It was really great for me to see them, I was going to say in person, but to see them as individuals on video, and for them to update, for me to get an update on a lot of the really important issues that that they're working on that can affect the funding for our district. So I encourage my fellow board members to visit the CSDA .net website, and particularly the Take Action page, because they're starting to lobby for the first time at the federal level. They want to make federal officials aware of CSDs, and they want to, they're lobbying obviously at the state level, but a lot of the COVID relief funding that Congress, et cetera, are voting on is not making it down to the special districts. And I think given everything that we're going to be facing in the next few months, any help we can get is important. And I think it's that we can really be effective spokespeople for the CSD at the state and federal level. So I was really excited. I learned a lot. It was a lot of information, but fortunately, much of it is captured on their Take Action page. So I just want to say I'm grateful for that, and I'm planning to do some more of the CSDA webinars as well. So thank you. That's it from me.
Thank you, Felicity. It's nice seeing everybody's face. Everybody looks healthy, and I'm glad to see that. I wanted to thank all the board members and staff and everybody who participated in getting our CIP points in order to reduce our insurance. That was in the general manager's report, and I was just really impressed that we did, I think it was 13% was in there, something like that, Nikki. So that's really cool. And I also was at Legislative Days yesterday, and Felicity just did a fantastic review. It was very interesting, and I also am very impressed with CSDA. And let's see. Oh, I also want to let you know, I do feel a lot of questions in the community at the lake. I do walk there every day, and like Eric mentioned, most, if not all, people comply. It's with the social distancing. There's people out there walking and still wearing a mask, even though they are kept moving, and there's not a lot of congregation. I do see families bringing out their picnic blankets and their children, and they're fishing, especially on the weekends. So I just wanted to share all that with you, and thank everybody, and stay safe and healthy, and we'll all get through this. Let's see, Jill, did you want to talk about the candidate workshop?
Sure. On June 10th, the district is hosting a candidate workshop. And what that means is that we're inviting anyone who is interested in knowing more about running for one of the upcoming board seats in November. And so the candidate workshop is going to tell people, what are the qualifications? What are the qualifications? How do you qualify to be a board member? What is the process at the county? How much does it cost? What's the paperwork like? How do you campaign? What is campaigning like? What can I do and what can I not do? What is ethical and what is not ethical as far as trying to lobby for votes? What is the role of a board member? What's my time commitment for being a board member? What kind of decisions will I be making? What's my relationship with staff and things like that. So we really want people to understand what the process is, and then also what the expectations are. And right now we're promoting it to be on Zoom. If we have an ability to have a correctly socially distanced workshop in person, I'm sure that would be our preference, but right now it's going to be held on Zoom. So Monique is partnering with me in hosting this workshop, and once we have some more details, we'll get it out to you. And certainly anybody you think that would be a great fit for our district as a board member, we hope that you'll contact them.
Thank you. Let's see, any other matters to and from? Okay, moving on to our next item. LAFCO, Holly.
We spent most of our last meeting reviewing budget and discussing the importance in directing staff to spend their time on trying to catch up to the many MSRs that are past due for our county LAFCO. An MSR is a municipal service review, and it provides a current and formal comprehensive look at provisions of services within a county. It's about the effective implementation of those reviews that have to be completed will depend in the large part on preparations made by LAFCO prior to the initiation of any of these individual service reviews. And what they provide for are infrastructure needs and inefficiencies, growth and population projects for an affected area, such as housing, financing constraints and opportunities, cost avoidance opportunities, opportunities for rate restructuring, opportunities for shared facilities, government structure options, evaluation of management efficiencies. And LAFCO is required to complete these MSRs for projects before the commission. One of them, as you can imagine, is the fire and safety services consolidation in the county. So that's what we spent most of our meeting discussing. And that's it.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Holly. Moving on to our committee reports. And we actually had committee meetings. That was really nice. So let's go ahead with budget and admin, Eric.
Yes, our meeting, we got our first look at the budget for next year and did a lot of digging in. That was an extensive Zoom meeting. But I feel really good about the work that staff has done and brought to us, and the work that we did just combing through that. Send it back to staff with a few adjustments here and there. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of that next month and then bringing this to the board. Really excited about at least presenting the balanced budget, not knowing the future, but we need to make plans based on what we know. So I'm excited about that. I'm grateful for all the work that went into this baseline budget. So that's, without bringing the budget itself, that's about all there is to say at this point. But I'm looking forward to doing that next month and working with the rest of the board on this.
Thank you, Eric. And I'd like to encourage my fellow board members, everyone has the opportunity to review that budget. And if you had any questions, comments, input, and so forth, perhaps you could pass those on to Jill so that they could come back to the committee and they can be addressed sooner rather than later.
Thanks, Minnie.
All right. Moving on to CCNRs. I know the chair is a resident, so which one of you two board members would like to do that report?
I'm happy to. Holly, would you like to do the report? So this is Felicity. I'll go ahead.
Go ahead.
You guys, yeah.
Sorry.
Holly, would you like to?
No, go ahead. That's fine.
Okay. I mean, I think the main item that came up was whether or not to renew a one-year waiver on allowing a commercial vehicle to park in a residential neighborhood. And I feel that the committee and staff did a very thorough vetting of the issue. Staff having asked the neighbors, having gotten answers from neighbors and taking into account, we had a big discussion about the nature of the business, which is a small farm in Placerville and supporting farmers markets. And in the end, we did decide to extend the waiver for another year. And it was you know, it's not a perfect solution, but I think that with everything that's going on right now, that was the right decision. So that was the main thing that happened in the CCNR committee. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Moving on to Fire and Emergency Services, that would be Ellie.
Well, I think over a period of time, Chief Gaines he had spoken this evening and covered many things about the Graussberg crew and so forth. And then, of course, they're working constantly to get this tower together financially and physically. So they're keeping very busy. And I believe the last meeting they spoke on that, and they're still working on the last meeting also they talked about the cards that they sent out, which he mentioned this evening. And living in a senior park, I want you to know every one of those people got one of those cards. And that's quite a feat. There's 150 right there. So it was very good. And that's really about all I have to report on, because we have all heard the rest.
Yeah, thank you, Ellie. Yeah, those items you saw today were brought through the committee from Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, solar, Parks and Rec. Who's our chair? Is that you again, Ellie?
That's me again. I haven't heard too much from Mike, other than he was busy doing some work on a what do they call it? Not a hole, but a
sinkhole.
Thank you, a sinkhole. And between that and working with the rest of the things that he's in charge of, he's got his hands busy, and I just compliment him at always being there when he's needed.
Can I interject as well?
Yeah, go ahead, Felicity.
Felicity, I just want to say the last Parks and Rec meeting was incredibly exciting. We did get to hear from the master, I'm not using the right words, but the contractor that has been hired to make tentative proposals for improving our parks. They reviewed just about every park I think we have with some ideas, from zip lines to more accessible trails and
splash pools.
Splash pools. I was just super excited to see that all these different pieces were discussed, and we did focus on the Cameron Park Lake, and is it Hacienda Park? I think was the other one. No, sorry, I'm not getting it. Gateway. Sorry, I mixed the names up on those two. I apologize. Gateway and Cameron Park is maybe a good place to start, because they have a lot of public viewership right there. So anyway, I am super excited, and I encourage everybody to stay tuned, and I believe there will be some public workshops coming up, but I think we're going to have some really exciting stuff happen with our parks here in Cameron Park. So
and
really
soon.
I would like to mention that I went to the Parks and Rec Committee agenda just to look at that park improvement plan. And I would encourage my fellow board members to pull that up and look at it. It is super exciting. And then, we've got our survey coming out. So yeah, that's going to be awesome. All right, moving on, Solar Energy Ad Hoc and the LLAD committees, I believe, did not meet this month. That's correct, Jill?
Correct.
But we can add a minor note on the Solar Ad Hoc, which is simply that ARC is moving forward in developing procurement documents. So they are in process on that and getting ready to do initial outreach. Jill, I don't know if you've heard anything else since their end of April update.
Yeah, I haven't heard from them. I was thinking about that today.
Okay. So yeah, so they're in the process to go out and get that, as well as to look at a couple of the small projects in that, like the firehouse roof as well as a couple other things, but they are in process on that. So we'll wait to hear back where they're at.
Great, thank you. Well, that is the end of our committee reports. And do we have anyone raising their hand, Nikki, who would like to comment on our closed session agenda item?
Nope.
Okay, seeing no one raising their hand, we are now going to convene in closed session. It's 8:24. And I believe this works by Nikki's going to put all of us board members and Jason into a, what did you call it?
A breakout room.
Yes, a what room?
Breakout?
A breakout room. So then we'll be able to have our closed session, and then this session will still be running should anybody be hanging out for a report out. That's what I understand.
Monique will be the host, as I will be logging off, and Monique will be the host. So.
And I assume we pause the recording to then resume that once we exit closed session, correct?
Yes, correct.
And you'll take care of pausing the recording, Nikki?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to be gone for about 2 minutes.
That's fine. We'll start in 5.
Oh, good. A whole 5.